And welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. I'm your host, Michael, and tonight we are joined by my co-host, Michelle Gray.
Hey, everyone.
And tonight we have a super special guest. We love him here. We wouldn't have our radio show without him. The one, the only, Jeff Renel.
Thank you. That's too kind of words. Too kind. Thank you very much. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
We're doing good.
Coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm really honored to be on your show. I've been super excited all week. Just really excited. And, I hope you don't mind, Michael. I'm going to go here really quick. We were just talking a minute ago how I found you on True Social with your show and brought you on to ETalk. And I cannot be more honored and happy and just feel privileged to have your show and you on ETalk with us. You've really added to ETalk. I'm really happy that I found you. Sometimes it gets really scary because it was like we didn't know each other at all. I just saw that you had a paranormal podcast on True Social. I was like, hey, let me just see if he wants to come over and be part of my shows. I need some new shows on ETalk. And, after I had asked you and stuff, I'm like, maybe I should have surveyed his show a little bit before I just asked him to come on. But this worked out beautifully. I couldn't be more honored to have you on. You've been awesome. You've been patient with me because this year has really been a crazy year for me. So you've been really awesome and patient and allowed some of these bumps and grinds that I'm going through this year to just, go through. And you've been doing your thing and just keep going. And you're there every Tuesday night. And now with Kel on your other show, you're there every other Thursday and you do it religiously. And I'm very, very honored to have you on ETalk and a part of ETalk, man. You're a perfect fit. Thank you very much.
Oh, yay,
Man, you're not supposed to make
so
the host
sweet.
cry.
You don't make me cry.
Hey, you were trying to do that to me, weren't you?
No, but thank you. And I got to say, I also appreciate your patience with learning how to do everything and being able to bring it over. And yeah, I remember our conversations of going, wait, what kind of show do you have? And I was like, wait, you didn't watch the show? We were laughing about that.
Nope.
Yeah, kind of just blind faith, but it worked out. It worked out great.
Yeah.
Just throw that feather in the wind. See if you can make a pillow.
Yeah. Next time I'm definitely going to preview the person's show, but this worked out beautifully. I couldn't be more happy. And like I said, you've been amazing. You've been there religiously working on your show. And that's what we look for in ETalk. I'm not here to change anybody's show, anything like that. I just want to take with what somebody else is doing, bring that creativity onto ETalk with the other people doing their creative stuff, and bring a variety of information. And that's what we're doing. We got everything from conspiracy shows, spiritual shows. I'm very proud to say that Astro Lunachick and the Guide to the Universe is back. She does her astrology show live every Sunday morning. And that's Susan Mayorga. And she's absolutely amazing. I love her to death. But we just got a whole bunch of different shows. I think we're up to like over 16 shows now, 16 different podcasts. And everybody does their own little thing, we got paranormal, we got the UFO side, we got a little bit everything that we're covering here. And we've been slowly growing. We're actually coming, I'm going to consider it our second anniversary. And that's when we do our haunted marathon in October. That'll be what I consider our second year anniversary, mainly because ETalk's been around for a while, but with what we're doing today and how it's formed today, this is basically the start of our second year come this October. And so I'm really excited to have you on. And, I'm just really excited to where we're going to take this and we're going to take this somewhere special. I'm not just going to be an average network. I want to be big. If I'm going to do something, I go all out, or at least I try to.
Well, and one of the things I love, and I've shared this with you about the ETalk network, is not only do we have access to the radio show, But if for some reason I can't make an episode replays. So there's always going to be an episode of the show, whether it's live or a repeat.
Right.
So I like how you allow us to keep that consistency so people still stay tuned and don't go, oh, well, I guess they're not on the air anymore, so move on. And so
Yeah,
we
I can
appreciate that.
I can kind of explain to you how it all got started in that sense, you know. But really quick, since you're mentioning that, realize too, I mean, I think you know this, but we are live streaming on ETalk as well too. So if people want to watch the video version of this, then they can go to etalk.tv, go to our podcast page, scroll down until they find your logo. They click on there, click live stream and archives, and it'll go to your channel, and we're live streaming on right there. So if you want to watch the video, you can go there and watch that. If you're just down for the audio, then just tune into the radio station and listen to that. You know, and that's how we started, was more live stream videos. And the way we started is, I've had the show ETalk for a long time, and I'll just go from the beginning history if you don't mind.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm a spiritual person. I've been studying spirituality my whole life, basically. But I lost everything in 2008. And so in 2000, just shortly after I lost everything, but it was more 2009. You know, my whole life, I always told myself, hey, if I could ever just stop everything and just study spirituality, religion, and all of that stuff, I would do that. That's my dream. And so when I lost everything in 2008, when the economy collapsed, I had a huge construction business back then. When I lost everything, it was like, you know, thank God I was in a good emotional state at that time. I was at my reawakening into my spiritual journey at that time. And so I was open to allow the universe to work with me and stuff. And I remember the last phone call I really had with bill collectors taking everything away from me. And I remember hanging up the phone and just going, oh my God, what has happened with my life?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, the next thought was, wait a minute, I'm free.
Yeah.
I have no responsibilities. There's nothing that owns me anymore. I'm totally free. I get to reinvent my life however I want to run it. And, you know, because I always talk about a thing, living life by default. And that's what most of us do, is live life by default. And that's what I was doing up to that point. But once I realized I was free, it was like, oh my God, let's go have some fun. And so thank God, because I was basically penniless. And so thank God my parents supported me and encouraged me at that time to follow my dreams, because they helped me financially as well too, because I spent the next 10 years studying spirituality, studying a technique called ThetaHealing, which I highly recommend to everybody. I think it is the best modality out there, the most thorough, the most complete, with all the information it has. It will teach you that you are the creative energy of all that is, and the potential is all yours. It's only your belief system that lacks that potential. And so, you know, I had a friend that came through Salt Lake, because this is my second time living in Salt Lake. I lived back then when I lost everything. Then I went back to Vegas for a while. But I had a friend that came through town, and she had just gone through some Theta Healing classes, some instructor classes. And so I was talking to her and stuff. And so when she left, I realized, I'm like, you know, that's what I want to do. And so I had a doctor that I went to for almost 10 years prior to this that did Theta Healing. And so I was already introduced to it, and I saw all the amazing things, the amazing ways he healed me. He's listed as a chiropractor, Dr. Randall Robert, and he's listed as a chiropractor, but he does energy healing. He's the closest person to Jesus I've ever seen in my life. And I've met some powerful healers in my time. And he's by far the closest person to Jesus I've ever met. Absolutely amazing. The healing powers this guy has is just unbelievable. You couldn't imagine. I mean, I've seen him do miracles in front of my eyes. Just absolutely wonderful. So I already knew about Theta Healing and the power of Theta Healing. And so when my friend Amy told me about Theta Healing and what she had just done, I'm like, you know what? That's what I want to do. And so that's what I did. And I went for 10 years doing that. And so through those journeys and stuff, you know, and And I've always been into everything. Everything fascinates me. So UFOs, paranormal, spirituality, all of that stuff I'm down for. And I've always been down for it. So, you know, I went through the progression of the spiritual journey, and I had my aha moment, and I realized, you know, I don't want to say I realized everything, but I had that aha moment where I got it. Right. To me, life, I always thought life should just be basic. You know, I mean, it looks way too complicated, but it should just be simple. And with what ThetaHealing showed me and everything and taught me, I came back to that understanding. I realized everything was just simple. It has everything to do with our belief system. If I can believe I can do it, I can do it. If I can't believe I can do it, I can't do it, period. So I went on this journey, and throughout this journey, you know, I met some amazing people, and I started to help run a wellness center where I had my office. Me and the lady that owned it, Christine Essex, she was an amazing person, and she was running a place called Luminosity Wellness Center in Las Vegas. And I brought my office over there and started working out of there. And we just started just jiving. I mean, we just meshed together. We started doing all these events together, and I helped her grow the business. And then so eventually she gave me a part of the business, and then she got a radio show, and I was one of her co-hosts on the radio show. And we did that for a year. And you got to know, I used to be super, super shy. Stuff like the radio, this here, you know, I would never be able to do. But I became an actor for 10 years, and that helped break down the walls. Going through ThetaHealing, that also helped release the walls. And now I just don't give a shit at all. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I just try to be the best.
Yeah.
What's that?
Life gets bigger when your give a shit breaks.
Yeah, exactly.
I was getting my first arm tattoo, and my tattoo artist said, "You know what just happened, right?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Your give a shit just broke." And I was like, "Did it?" And now, yeah, it's so crazy. You can, when your give a shit breaks, you can become who you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And I know that feeling about the tattoos too. I got my first one, and then I didn't get my next one for, I think, almost 10 years. But then after that, they just started popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But so through that journey, and she got me on the radio show, and it was really hard for me to be there, be comfortable, get out, you know, and just really be me on the radio show. But we had a lot of fun, and I got to meet another guy, Josh Carpenter, aka Mr. Blue or DJ Blue. If you see DJ Blue on our website, ETalk.tv, that's who I'm talking about. We quickly became friends. He was our IT website guy. And so we quickly became friends. And so eventually our radio show ended, and me and Josh are like, you know, we want to be on the radio again. And so we're messing around, and it's like, you know what, let's do like a UFO show. And he's like, yeah, that sounds cool. And so all of a sudden, ETalk just popped in my mind. And the reason it's ETalk is because you take the E and you put it next to the T, and you got ET. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, I'm going to do that. I like that name.
Yeah.
So we went to go start a podcast called ETalk, and we sat down, we shot our first little episode, and it was just pre-recorded. And we got about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes into it. And I'm like, cut. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, dude, just cut it. I'm like, dude, we're just regurgitating information. We don't know anything about UFOs. I'm like, we can't do this because that's not me. That's not me and my style. I don't want to go out there and act like I'm an expert when I know nothing about it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew stuff about it because like I said, I was into it, but the friends I know, they know about this. And so looking at what they know and to what I knew at that time, it was like, no, I'm not doing this. And so we put it on the shelf. We started some other stuff and played around with some other stuff and never got anything going and stuff really at that time. And so then I was helping a friend do helping her with a booth at a conference. And lo and behold, the person next to her booth was a guy named Brad Olson. I think you guys might know who he is, or at least I think you do, Michael, right?
I do.
Yes. And so Brad Olson, who's been on Ancient Aliens and all kinds of other shows, was right next to her booth. And so I got a weekend where I got a chance to talk to him, and we just instantly became friends. Aww. We hung out all week long in Vegas, and then ended up at Area 51 at the end of the week, and just had this most amazing week. Me, him, another guy known as Eric, the Awakening Man, who's a big time independent researcher. He's big on Twitter and stuff like that. And a couple other friends of ours, Reverend John Polk, and another guy, Scott Carmanis, who no longer hangs around with us. But the rest of us, all of us really became really good friends, and we all hung out for years and stuff. And it just like all of a sudden the floodgates just opened up for me, you know. And so next thing I'm knowing, I'm meeting David Childress, Giorgio, all these guys from Ancient Aliens. And, you know, when that show first came out, I'm like, man, I'd really love to talk shop with these guys. I'd like to really, because I'm a stonemasonry. I'm a marble and granite specialist by trade. And so I'm like, dude, I would love to talk about these ancient temples and stuff, because there's no way we could do that. They had to be advanced civilizations. And I knew that way back then. They had to be advanced. They just can't go and carve this stuff on the hardest stone possible and it'd be absolutely perfect and symmetrical. There's no freaking way. I work with marble and granite. I know it just doesn't happen that way. To make an inside 90-degree corner, you just can't do that with a chisel and hammer.
No.
And you can't even do it with the.
You can't slide a piece of paper through.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's so amazing. And so I just wanted to talk shop and look at how spirit worked with me. And all the next thing I know, I'm hanging out with these people. I'm at David Childress's house. You know, I've been there many times. I've actually worked on some of his other homes and stuff. And so I got to meet all these amazing people. And so then ETalk was back on, because now I was learning this stuff. I was hanging out with Tom Dongo. I mean, just amazing stuff. It just went from nothing to everything when it came to UFOs. And at that time, I was actually building my own wellness center in Las Vegas. It was a little small thing. I had a nice little yoga room / classroom with a session room in the back. But really, really nice. You know, I put wood floors, everything into it, made it probably too nice, because then the landlord wanted it back because I got it for super cheap. But once they saw what I did with it, they're like, we don't want you to have it for that cheap, you know? So they took it away from me, and, you know, they kicked me out and took it and jacked up the rent on it. And so, but anyhow, when I met Brad Olson, all of this stuff started to happen. And I was, you know, deep into spirituality. I was teaching classes. You know, I was doing sessions, all this stuff. You know, like I said, I was creating my own wellness center. And as soon as I met Brad, boom, I took a right-hand turn, and I haven't looked back. I let go of the wellness center because I lost the space and stuff because the landlord took it back. And I kind of didn't look back. I knew inside, my intuition told me I'd be back into spirituality and doing what I was doing. But for the meantime, this was part of my spiritual growth. And I took off and I went. And so I started meeting the people that were around all the UFO stuff. And I started creating my own excursions and going out and doing research trips with these guys, you know, my new friends. And that's when ETalk came back. And so I started doing my own podcast, ETalk. And so when I went and got my website, it was etalk.tv, because I couldn't get etalk.com because Entertainment Tonight actually has that. So I got etalk.tv. So a few years ago, I'm driving to work and I'm like, you know, I got to redo everything. I got to revamp things, come out with a whole new fresh look, and just be different than everybody else. And so I'm like, what do I do? And I pondered it for a long time. And then one day I'm on my way to work in the morning, and I'm thinking etalk.tv, etalk.tv. I'm like, what do I do? And I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I got all these friends that have all these podcast shows. I was like, let's start a TV website, you know, with all these different podcasts and stuff. And so I started calling all my friends, and they're like, yeah, I'm down. And so then I created the website, and with the help of DJ Blue, Mr. Blue. And so we started to create it, and it was basically just straight video streaming at the time. And then I brought in a show, Beyond the Strange, which was one of our bigger shows with Dave Cruz and Russ Bailey. I'm sorry?
I know that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great show.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. So I brought them on, and Dave kept just jabbering in my ear. You got to get a radio station. You got to get a radio station. And then another friend of ours, Gigi, who does the Shift Happens, he started saying the same thing. And then so just out of the blue one day, I'm like, let's do it. And so last year, it was probably a little over a year ago. I think it was August, September, something like that is when I actually purchased the online radio station. And then shortly after that, we did the Haunted Marathon, and ETalk was off to what you're seeing today. But, you know, we're slowly trying to morph it and trying to find new ideas, stay a little bit different than everybody else. So if you haven't been to ETalk.tv, please check it out. It's awesome, man. We got our own social media site. You can go on there, create a free profile. Once you create your free profile, just sign into it. You can post onto our social media site. You can go on there and check out all the different posts on there. And we've been posting for years now. So there's a lot of information on there. And like I said, we got up to 16 podcasts now, I think. I do 2 different shows. Michael does 2 shows. God, I'm having a brain fart. Dave Cruz, he also does 2 shows. He does Beyond the Strange on Wednesday night. I believe it's from 6 to 8 Pacific now. Let me check on my thing, and I'll let you know for sure. And then he's also added. I'm sorry?
I said DJ Blue has a show too.
Yeah, DJ Blue, all the music on there is DJ Blue music. That's all the stuff he's done. And so DJ Blue doesn't typically do a show like a live show or anything like that. He mainly has his musics on there, but he'll be doing a show most likely for the marathon because he did last year for us. But yeah, no, it's really come out really nice. But yeah, we have the social media. We got all the podcasts. We have Brad Olson on here. Vivian Chevet, who's absolutely amazing. She has the show, The Infinite Star Connection. She's an Arcturian hybrid healer. She is amazing. I love her to death. She actually does ThetaHealing as well, too. Let me go here and find Dave's shows. Oh, I don't have it on here. But yes, I believe... Wait, I know I got it here somewhere because I just sent it to him. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to do this.
Oh, no, you're fine. And
I know where it's at. It's in a different section than what I'm looking at here.
While you're telling that, I'll tell the funny story about when we brought my show over. You said, well, what time slot is your show? And I go, Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. And you go, that's when my show is on. But I was like, oh, well, and then you go, well, let me finish this one episode and then it's yours. And I was like, you sure?
Aww.
Yeah, I've gotten busy, so I'm not really on. And so I was like, man, I was like, not only did you take a chance on blindly on the show, but you even took a chance on your time slot. And so I was like, man.
So sweet.
Yeah, and that really was a choice time slot too. As far as for the freedom of my schedule, it was the best for me. I'm going to start doing mine on Thursday nights now. So, but no, it was well deserved. I mean, I'm happy I did it for you, and that's, you know, truthfully what I'm doing with ETalk. It's about you guys, man. I mean, I'm just a small part of this. If it wasn't for you guys, then ETalk wouldn't be what it is today. I mean, I need the host. I need the podcast on there to do what I want, my vision. And so I'm just a small part of it. And, you know, truthfully, the only reason I went to go do podcast, I mean, I love being live on radio and stuff now that I've got through the fears and everything. But I did it because, you know, I knew I was going to go out and interview people. And I'm like, if I'm going to interview people and get knowledge, why not just turn it into a podcast? So then it's already recorded and I can share all that knowledge with the people around me too, because, you know, I'm really out about bringing people up and helping people in the best way I can. And so that's what I try to do. So really quick, I'll go over our list of live shows that we got right now. So Dave Cruz also has his new show called The Strangest Hour, which is Monday and Friday from 6 to 7 Pacific. And I put everything in Pacific because most of our people were on the Pacific time frame. And then Tuesday night, we got your show, which we are doing right now from 7 to 9 Pacific. Yep. Big applause for that. Wednesday night, we got Dave Cruz back here for Beyond the Strange from 6 to 8 Pacific. Dave was in California. He just moved to the East Coast. So he's an East Coaster now, but he still keeps the time slot for the Pacific. We have Tess in her wonderful show. Tess does the late night at the Rockies, and that's Saturday and Sunday night from 6 to 9 Pacific. And her show is really awesome. She's dedicated to, she's there every Saturday and Sunday night doing her show. She's absolutely awesome. I just love people that are dedicated to their craft. You know, it makes me jealous because I can't be as dedicated to my show as I'd like to be, but I have a million things I'm always trying to do because I just love doing all kinds of things. So I'm always busy, unfortunately. I would love to put more time to this, and that's going to be my focus now. Another show we got, which I absolutely love, JP was the co-host on The Shift Happens. If you've ever heard of The Shift Happens, that's a great show on the Fringe on Friday nights. But JP came over with his own show called Reperception. And that's Saturday night from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., I guess. Pacific time. And so he ends the Saturday night with us, but his show is amazing. He's also very busy. So it's hit and miss when he does a live show, but I definitely tell you, if you don't catch a live show on ETalk radio or live streaming, go check out the archives because his show is really good. Just like everybody else. I mean, I'm really proud of the list of shows that we have. And then, like I was saying earlier, Susan Mayorga is the Astro Lunatic, and she has the Astro Lunatic's Guide to the Universe. And if you're into hearing about astrology and stuff, I recommend it. She's amazing. I'm so happy she's back. She took a little hiatus for a while from the winter till now, but she's back and she's going strong. And so I definitely recommend you check it out because what she'll do is she'll talk for the first hour, typically how astrology is affecting our world and what's going on in our world and how it ties to astrology. She usually will take calls at the end of the show as well too and do a free reading for people. She actually did one for my daughter this last Sunday. I'm getting back into doing my shows as well too because I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. And so I'm going to be bringing ETalk TV Live, which is my podcast. Is ETalk TV Live is the name of mine podcast to try to separate it from ETalk a little bit. So I put the live at the end. But we will be doing that Thursday night from 7 to 9. And then I also do a show called Consciously Rising, so I can do my spiritual stuff because that's truly what drives me is just understanding spirituality and the craziness in life and how beautiful beings we are, or spiritual beings we are, because we are the most amazing spiritual beings. All of existence is, but we are amazing. And if we really tap into our potentials, you know, the sky's the limit. I mean, the only limitation is your own belief system. But I'm going to go back to doing Consciously Rising as well, too. And I think I'm going to try to do Sunday mornings and either do it right before Astro Lunatic show or right after. But we have another show. I'm sorry?
That's going to be a hard act to follow. You sure you want to follow that?
Yeah. I think
that's true.
Another day.
You're right on the money there. That's going to be a hard act to follow. So you're right. I probably should go early in the morning.
Yeah, maybe you should go like before her and be like with everyone's coffee when we're kind of just like waking up, and then she like slams in and handles business. So
yeah, and she does. You know, she does. She's amazing. And then we have Vivian Chevet, who is amazing. She's huge in the UFO spiritual community. She has a huge following. She doesn't go live onto the radio, at least not right now. You know, I'm hoping that we can get her on. I know she said before she would love to. But I think they do their show. It seems like it's every 2 weeks, but their show goes live streams onto ETalk on their podcast page in ETalk.tv. So you can watch her shows Sunday mornings live there. And she's absolutely amazing. She brings in just amazing guests, man, and just people that, floor me all the time. But if you're looking for knowledge on spirituality and even extraterrestrial stuff, that's one of the shows you definitely want to check out. She is amazing. Like I said, she's a Arcturian hybrid healer, and I just love her to death. So I can't say enough good things about her. And then some of the other shows that we have on there too that don't go live, but I'm really excited to have them on there. If you don't mind, do I got time to talk about them?
Sure.
This is about you.
Matt, definitely want to go check out that channel.
Yeah.
ETalk TV.
ETalk.tv.
There you go.
Instead of .com or .tv.
The dot.
Yes, don't forget the dot. Some other great shows we have. We have The Obelisk with Jerry and Nish, and they're amazing. I mean, Jerry, I just love him. I just think the way his voice comes out and how he handles it as a host. I just love Jerry. I think very intelligent person, has great guests. They just very interesting to listen to. And when anytime I'm bored, I'll pop in one of his shows for sure. Another one that I just can't say enough about. He's become one of my good friends. I met him actually through Brad Olson on an excursion out at I think it was Mount Shasta when I first met him. But Brett Luter. Brett Luter is a researcher, author, just an amazing guy. He's getting ready to release a new book out here. He's just finishing up his book. He's written some amazing stuff. He's done research on Rastafari music, on how the music spreads love and just how they've captured that love feeling in their music. I can't even explain it the way he does, but it's fascinating. But with the Rastafari music, they're battling evil in the way they play it, what they sing about, all that stuff. And it's absolutely amazing. And when you hear him talk about it, you're like, oh, I get it now. I see what you're saying. Because before I would be like, what do you mean Rastafari music saving the world? What are you talking about? But when you hear him talk about it, it's great. And Brett knows so many amazing people that he has just killer guests. He has Dan Willis on there, Mary Rodwell. Who else? I can't think of everybody else right now. But if you go to etalk.tv and go to the Brett Luter show, I would highly recommend you go listen to last year's Haunted Marathon show from Brett Luter. And that should be episode, I believe, 19 of his. It's his 2-hour special. And he interviewed David and Cheryl, Pastor David and Cheryl. And they're from the Yuma, California. They're a church in Yuma, California. They're one of the only churches that was allowed to stay open all the way through COVID. They're amazing. But David and Pastor David and Cheryl, his wife Cheryl, they have a very interesting story how they ended up with God, I'm forgetting everybody's name now. LeVay, the godfather or the father of the Church of Satan.
Wow.
What is his first? I can't think of his first name. I want to say his last name's LeVay. Maybe that's his first name. God, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it right now. Yeah. But they ended up with his daughter because they tried to sacrifice his daughter and left her for dead. They were doing a ritual and basically left her for dead. Somebody found her. She ended up at the church to recover, and they didn't know who they had at the time.
Wow.
And then, so they put it out on the news that they had found this girl on the riverside, and they knew, the LeVays, the satanic people knew who she was. And so they knew who she was and where she was at. And so they started to attack the church. and it's their whole story of how they battled Anton LaVey. That's it, Anton LaVey. They battled Anton LaVey, and they feel that they are the reason he died because they took his power away. Absolutely amazing story.
Possible.
You will be stuck to the TV screen for 2 hours listening to this. It is amazing. It was definitely the hottest show of the marathon, and we had some amazing shows. That it really kicked off ETalk radio in a huge way, that marathon. But highly recommend that one. So we got the Brett Luter show. We talked about late night at the Rockies. Let's see. The only other one we haven't really talked about yet, and that is Paranormal Versus, and that's your show, Michael. So why don't you tell our listening audience a little bit about your show too, because they're all amazing on ETalk.
Yeah, we never hear about Michael. He hears about all of us, but he never.
So let me put you on the spot and interview you, buddy.
You be the Wizard of Oz now, buddy. We're pulling back the curtain.
So I do co-host Paranormal Versus with Kel Ridley. She's out of the UK, and so what we like to do is look at investigators from our side of the pond and their side of the pond and see what the differences are or similarities, and just kind of look at, compare haunted history and locations and, investigations we've done. And so it's just a really cool, just laid back kind of show of just seeing the differences. And we look at all topics of equipment, UFOs, all kinds. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing with this show. The energy that surrounds us is starting to bring in some of those topics as well and broadening out the full scope of the paranormal. And one of the things I know, because Paranormal Versus, I believe, was the first show to go live on the radio. And I remember when you messaged me and said, "Hey, your show is live on is replaying on the radio." And I turned on the site and started listening to the show. Aww. And I just got this euphoric feeling of, oh my God, that's us. We're on the radio. And I'm messaging Kel and going, oh my God, we're on the radio right now. And it's like, I get why musicians now are like,
yes,
oh, our song's on the radio. It's like, I got that euphoria. And I love it when Jeff is so cool. He's like, whenever he's like, well, I haven't talked to you guys in a while, but hey, by the way, you're on the air right now. And I'm like, I get to go back and get that euphoria of, oh my God, it's so cool.
That's cute.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job. And I love the concept. I mean, what a great idea. Well, let's see the difference between what we're doing here and what we're doing over there. So I think it's a great concept. You guys do a wonderful job. Kel's awesome. And you guys have brought on some really cool guests. I mean, I've listened to quite a few of your shows. I typically during a workday, I try to turn it on and listen to, the radio station and try to listen to everybody's show and see what they're doing so I can get ideas. But just to see what's going on and because again, they're all great shows, man. Matter of fact, they're all in the ETalk chat room right now. And so, man, I just got to say hi to Dragon Rose, Dave Cruz. We got Susan, AKA Astro Lunachick. And yeah, we got quite a few people on the ETalk chat room. So we also have our chat room there in etalk.tv. Once you sign up and create a profile, then we can bring you on as into that chat room. We actually have to get a better chat room going here at etalk.tv, but it's always one of those slow work. It's a slow progress of fixing little technology things here and there. But I wish people could sign up and then instantly be on to the chat room. But unfortunately, the way it's set up, I have to invite people onto the chat room. So once you fill out your profile, I try to go in there pretty religiously and find out the new people and bring them into the official ETalk chat room. But when you're on ETalk.tv, that's where you want to go, is to the official ETalk chat room. We can create a whole bunch, but that's why we created that one, so everybody knew where to go. So, hey, thank you all out there, ETalk listeners, for being on the chat room. I'm really, really proud to have all you guys listening in. You guys are awesome. Love my family.
I think I being the newest, probably the newest member of the family clan, so to speak, and saying it is really cool how humbling it is that you are doing the job of like probably 30 or 40 people, but yet still have the patience with us to say, yes, I know we're a little bit behind on this or that. I'm getting, I'll get it. And you just have infinite patience with us. And so I thank you for that, because I know we bombard you with questions about stuff, and you always get right back to us and you always respond. And it's like, you couldn't ask for a better network owner.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, sometimes sometimes it might be a day or two before I get back to you, because I do get swamped, and then sometimes I just, things slip my mind because I'm so focused on what I'm doing at the present moment and stuff. I mean, I really try. I try to be patient. I mean, truly, when I had that aha moment spiritually, I just realized nothing matters. Nothing matters. We don't need to take things that serious.
No.
If I can't make it to a show, hey, it's my life. Let me handle the things in my life. And that's what happened this year. I mean, we really, after doing the haunted marathon last October, ETalk was thriving, man. We were doing really, really good, and we were, getting the numbers, getting everything, and really moving up there for a new network. And then at the end of the year, beginning of this year, man, life just decided to play some games with me, and just keep pulling things away from me. And so, it's been a struggle this year to stay on top of things. And that's why I really appreciate you, Michael, because you have been patient with me, because typically I like to try to get on things a lot faster. If I say I'm going to do something, I want to do it. I feel bad if I don't follow through with, when I tell somebody I'm going to do it. I like to try to be a man of my word. And so this year it's been a real struggle to do it. But yes, I try to, and you're right, man, Michael, I do a lot of different jobs here, especially, if I would have, it's kind of like with my cat. I love my cat to death. It's family. But if I would have known what I was getting myself into, maybe I would have just stayed without having a kitty cat. And if I would have known all the work I have with this radio station, maybe I wouldn't have got it. But you know what? Now that I have it, I absolutely love it. I mean, it's just so much fun. And truly, I have just as much fun bringing on your guys' show and helping you guys create your shows and doing what I can, and I still want to do more. I mean, there's areas I feel like I'm slacking in big time. So I'm hoping I can create the time to start doing some other things to help promote your guys' show even more, promote ETalk even more. So, thanks for the kind words, but there's a lot of times I feel like I am slacking, but I believe me, I'm trying to give it my all the time. Right. I don't need to rest because this just drives me, but there'll be times I'll just shut down and just go, okay, it's time for Jeffy time. And I'm going to shut down for a while and, go to the lake, go camp. Well, if I go camping, I want to go researching camping and not just camping.
Get grounded.
But that's my vacation. Going on research trips are my vacations, and that's a lot of fun. And, if you want to talk about, what I like to research and different things like that, we're more than open to do that, Wait, I got something here, Michael. You can always ask me questions also. So that's coming from Dave Cruz. And Dave Cruz, man, hey, thank you, Dave Cruz. Dave Cruz is awesome. I love Dave to death. Dave has been absolutely amazing, helping me put ETalk together, put the radio station together. He's been my right-hand man on this, along with DJ Blue, Mr. Blue. And Susan Mayorga has also helped. I mean, everybody's helped. I mean, I can't say I'm doing this alone. There's a lot of things that I am doing alone, the behind the scenes stuff, a lot of it, but I got a lot of great friends in this business that are helping me out as well too, and giving me advice and telling me things, because this was never my field. I didn't, I was an actor for a long time. I tried to be in a band and do rock music and stuff like that, but this isn't my forte. Didn't know anything about this until I started to do it, but I'm not scared to do things I don't know. Luckily the training I've had in my life, I'm comfortable being in an uncomfortable position, I should say. That's what some of the training has taught me to do, is to be uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations. And that was the best thing that ever could have happened in my life, because even when I'm scared, I'm just like, just do it. It don't matter. I don't care what anybody says about me anyhow, just do it. And so there's things that I've never been trained in, never done in my life. I just go do it. And, if I'm successful, great. If I'm not, then, hey, it was a great experience. I learned a lot, and I can take that information and tap it into other things. And that's kind of what I've done with ETalk too. All the things I've learned throughout my life, I'm trying to use that to morph ETalk into something just a little bit different than everybody else, and I think we got that going on here. Now we just got to get this to grow and get bigger. I'm always looking for more shows. So anybody listening out there that has a show that you want to bring on to our network, get a hold of me, and we can talk. And I'm going to preview your show first before I say, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, lightning never strikes twice, people.
but no, it's absolutely awesome.
I have a question. Do you guys ever sit back and just realize that throughout probably ever, we're allowed to actually build a world that we all belong in? Like, nobody has to be a misfit anymore. Nobody has to eat lunch alone. Once you're grown, you're going to have to in school, because that's just the crap show of it. But like when you get out and everyone says, oh, you're going to find your people, you're going to find your village. We actually can. We can actually sit and find the people that belong in our universe. And like my mother and parents and everything couldn't have done that. And, you might find your little social circle to play bridge or whatever, but look at what we can do, guys. Like Mike and I, we talked to Jenny in Ireland, and all of these things, we're able to do all these things. We don't have to sit and be depressed anymore. We don't have to hide because we hear voices. We don't have to hide. Like I was nervous through my whole 20s, praying to God I would not have a nervous breakdown before my kids got grown, because I heard voices, not even understanding what spirit chatter was and anything. Like I was ready. If I did not have such a strong belief against medication for myself, as far as, mental things, then I would have taken antidepressants. I would have taken the antipsychotics. If I'd gone to the doctor and said, I hear multiple people at time telling me things to do and to tell other people, I would have been locked up or medicated, and my kids would have been dispersed. So this is the first time we all get to do this. Like, we don't have to do it for negative. We can build a positive world that people can be themselves and feel free to talk to spirits or believe aliens, or, actually acknowledge these things. Finally, we can acknowledge it without feeling insane or embarrassed. I mean, it's such freeing.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Michelle. The times are changing, and they're changing fast. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it's insane.
I know everybody was interpreting the Mayan calendar as saying it was the end of the world in 2012, but that's never what they said.
Never. That's
the world was changing as we knew it, is basically what they were trying to tell us.
Yeah.
And if we look back, at the 2012 to now, they're 100% right. Mm-hmm. Our world has changed so much since 2012 to today, and it is changing so fast today and in our future. Who knows what we're going to be at in another 5 years? But no, it's really, really nice, Michelle, that all of this is starting to come out, especially because the knowledge we're going to get from this now, to be able to really, truly study us. I just did a show Friday night, The Shift Happens, I was on my friend Gigi's show, and we talked about the UFO hearings that just happened this last Wednesday and stuff.
Whoa.
And you know, I don't follow that stuff that much because I think it's a dog and pony show. But what happened this last Wednesday was a really good thing, a really good thing. And what's amazing, what I like about it is, yes, now it's coming out into the open. It's really coming out in the open. I like being one of the weirdos back in the day where nobody really was into this. I like being that weirdo that brought it up. Hey, you know what we can do? You know, and they all look at me crazy, but that's just who I am. But what's really nice about this, and I was talking about it on the show, is now that it's getting out in the open, now that it's acceptable, what are we going to learn? Because now the growth of knowledge of this subject is going to go exponential. It's going to skyrocket. And what I referred it to on the show is like with marijuana, when they first legalized marijuana. I was in Vegas when they first legalized it there.
Congratulations.
And what I saw as far as the information that came out after it was legalized was absolutely amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing to learn about terpenes and all that stuff and how they worked and the difference in all of them. I mean, they're herbs. Yeah. They're herbs in our marijuana. And if you understand the terpenes, then you could literally go to the dispensary and say, hey, I have these symptoms.
Yep.
And you could go and look at the terps and figure out what terps are in there and say, yes, this is the one I need for my issue. And so the knowledge and the information on marijuana it skyrocketed and it just blew up because now they're giving out grants to all these people to study this stuff. And so I see the same thing's going to happen in the UFO community. You know, I think, you know, we're going to shortly with, you know, I don't know how many years, I couldn't even tell you. But we're going to have, you know, we're going to have that open dialogue with alien beings, I think, really quick here.
I think we are.
And so it might destroy what we're doing with our podcast. We might have to venture off into some other mysterious unknown thing to go research and stuff. But it's going to be amazing what it's going to do for our world, what it's going to do for each one of us, the technology that's going to come out as far as health and healing. You know, with you know, there's talk of the med beds out there right now and all this stuff. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But when we as people can truly be who we truly are and are not bombarded with all this negative stuff and all this stuff that doesn't truly exist because we're being lied to and we're being repressed and we're not being opened up to what we truly are as spiritual beings. And when we actually learn from childbirth on, and actually better yet, when we know what's going on when we are actually carrying a child, whether we're the mother, the father, whatever, and the energy we put into the child in the womb, when we realize what we're doing there, everything's going to change. I mean, when I went through ThetaHealing, I learned all about that stuff, about tribes that when their wives or their woman was pregnant, all the whole tribe did was always just fill the woman with love and love and love and love. Yeah. Because if you don't know what happens when the baby's in the womb, okay, and if the mother is very stressful and the life is very stressful for that woman, the mother, the baby feels every bit of that. And so what happens is then the baby will grow up with stronger muscles and bigger bones because the baby is already in fight and flight syndrome. Okay. And so it's been in fight and flight syndrome ever since it was in the womb. So it comes out basically ready to fight with bigger muscles and bigger bones and all of that. If you shower that baby in the womb with love, now the baby will come out with a bigger frontal lobe, already ready to be enlightened. But people out there that were born like me in that stressful family and that stressful mother and all of that stuff. And I love my mother and I love my dad. Great people. I love my mother, I'm glad I came through the life that I've come through, because it made me who I truly am today. Yeah. But don't fret if you did come up in that type of family environment, because it's up to you to make those changes, to learn how to love yourself. And when you learn how to love yourself and you start to release the stresses and all that stuff, then you can start to operate in the frontal lobe the way you're supposed to operate in the frontal lobe. And then that's where you're going to be able to tap into your spiritual abilities that are absolutely amazing. And let me tell you, we all have the ability to do everything. Telepathy,
everything. It's all been
move objects, your intuition. You got to trust in that stuff, and you're going to expand and you're going to go. But it's all about loving yourself and letting go of your resentment, your hatred, your regret.
What you've been taught.
Regrets, your regression.
You know?
I'm sorry?
I said, as a person who's a medium and learning into how to do all this stuff, you also have to get over the things that you've been taught. Like I was raised strict, religious, and I have to say, I'm not going to burn in hell because I believe that ancestors are leading us. Of course, they're leading us. Everybody knows it but us, because we haven't been told that ancestors lead us, because everything has been blocked for an agenda of some sort. And we won't even get into that. There's not enough time for that. But
our ancestors are 100% behind us, the ones that have passed on, even the ones that are here right now. But it is truthfully, I teach, it's not selfish, it's self-love. Okay.
Right. And there is
and you have to realize you are the center of your universe. You take care of yourself first. Okay.
Hear that,
it's the same as a parent. When I'm as a parent, I have to change my energy before I come into the house with my kids. Okay. I have to be that catapult. I have to change that energy. So I have to watch out for myself first. So I got to make sure when I come through that door that I'm in a place of love, because if I'm stressed out, pissed off and everything, what do? I come on, I start yelling at my kids. I do this and that. And I make them at an edge and I make them angry. I make them upset. And now I just was the cancer and I spread all of this around. So it always truly is about you first. You are the center of your universe. And so make sure that you look out for yourself. Make sure you love yourself. Make sure you watch out for yourself. It is, we want to be of service, but it's not all about being about service. It isn't going to heal you to be out running around being of service of everybody, because if you have obligations and somebody asks you, hey, can you come help me do this? And you're all that love person and you got to be there and be of service and you go help them, but you had obligations to somebody else. You kind of just threw a negative twist into there. And what if it upsets you because you're like, oh, I really didn't want to be here. I got other obligations, but you just can't say no. And so now there's bad energy going in there. So you need to be the love. You need to learn how to love yourself and say, hey, I would really love to help you right now. Maybe we can find a solution. Maybe I can come help you tomorrow or something like that. But I got an obligation with my family right now. I got to go do that. You got to honor yourself first, and then you honor the other people around you, or at least that's the way I see it. When I learned to love myself, that's when I truly learned how to love everybody else around me.
Well, you can't run a machine without maintenance. And when we're running our lives, we have to run them like machines and things a lot of times. And if you don't oil it and fix it and take a day down to where you can thoroughly clean it and do everything you need to, you break down. It's the same thing with humans. They run, and then they realize, why am I tired? Oh, wait, I can't sleep. Well, you can't sleep because you're so dang tired. Your body doesn't know how to stop.
Well, and we can run, but we have to do it in the right way. If we run, and we're in stress, then yes, we're going to get tired. We're going to get fatigued.
Right.
Our mental capacity is going to go down, everything like that. But if you can stay on top of things, you can stay in that blissful state. You can just keep going. That's truly what happened to me. I can say this year, I'm on that thin line right now going, okay, I'm about ready to get really stressed out here. But I just take that time to remember who I am, what I am.
Right. Where you
and that everything's perfect, man. Everything is absolutely perfect the way it is right now. Even if everything's hell, everything's perfect, because in that hell, that is part of my lesson, my spiritual lesson to learn. And so it's up to me in that hell to be able to step back and go, wait a minute, what is this learning me? What is the most positive experience I am getting out of this? What is the love I'm getting from this? And it's up to me to learn that. It isn't up to anybody else. It isn't up to you guys to tell me. And you can't tell me because it's not you to see it. It's me. I mean, as a theta healer, that's the one thing I loved about theta healing. As the practitioner, I'm not there to tell you what's wrong with you. I'm there to help assist you in looking into yourself to find out what you see is wrong with you, because that's the only thing that matters. Don't matter how I perceive you, because my thoughts could be all screwed up. And so I can see you in a screwed up way because I'm screwed up. And so it's not about me. It's about you. For me, it's about me, but for you, it's about you. And so as a practitioner, you know, that was the great thing with theta healing, is just, I'm here to assist you. What do you feel is wrong with you? And that's what made it so easy. I didn't need to know anything about you. And it's easier for me when I don't know anything about you, because then we could just sit down and have a simple conversation. I'm like, what's affecting you today? If I could help you change anything in your life today, what would you change? And you know what? That's always going to be the thing that needs to be changed. Right. And sometimes people want to deceive, because it's us fighting our subconscious and the belief system in our subconscious. And so our mind's going to try to trick us to hold on to that belief, because that belief is actually serving us. And so it's there. And so, you know, your clients are going to play tricks on you, and they're going to go, oh, well, it's this, or it's this over here. But, you know, the funny thing is you can't hide from it. Yeah. You can say it's this, or you can say it's that. But if you've got a good practitioner in front of you and knows what they're doing, they see that. And all I have to do is ask questions over and over again. I just ask you simple questions, and I'm going to take you out of the conscious mind and bring you into the subconscious mind. And all of a sudden, you're going to have this aha moment, and you're going to go, oh, wow, I never saw that before. But how we just worked it down, and how we worked it down to, because we're typically trying to work it down to childhood, because that's when that program came into existence. Right. Whether you could have brought it into this life, but it's still their childhood. So we want to get to childhood to identify it and stuff. But when we work it down that way, the beautiful thing too is you almost see how you programmed yourself with it. Right. And so it's just so fascinating. We are so fascinating. We're amazing. And back to how all this started is when we start to understand who we truly are, and we start to teach our young how to see that way, teach our young about the chakra system. I mean, the chakra system, so many people just understand the basic parts of the chakra system. It's so much more, and it's so much more rewarding when you understand it, because when you understand what organs the throat chakra works with, what emotions it works with, your sacral, your solar plex, what organs do they affect, and what emotions do they affect? And when you understand that, you can start to look at yourself and feel your body. And when your body starts to feel out of whack, like maybe we're having this conversation, all of a sudden my jaw starts to get tight. Then I can sit there and I can go, okay, if my jaw's getting tight, then that means something's going on with my throat chakra. And so if I'm honest enough with myself, I can kind of look at myself and ask myself questions. What's going on here? And so I'm either not being truthful or I'm being over truthful, one of the two. And so if I'm honest with myself, I can start to identify with that and change my energy in that moment and start to make myself the way I need to be, the way my spirit should be. Because the thing is we come into this world with this spirit that is one way. Right. And our parents, our siblings, our aunts, uncles, all of our relatives, friends, they're trying to teach us all their beliefs, but they're not our beliefs. They're their beliefs. And typically they're the beliefs, they're their ancestors' belief that passed it all the way down. So it's up to us to be able to figure these beliefs out that don't truly belong to us. They just served us because they were there for a learning experience, and they were there for the soul to learn and grow from. And it's such an amazing thing. And it's like once you start to understand this, then negative things aren't negative anymore. Problems are not problems anymore. They're learning lessons, and they're the best gift that the creative energy of all that is can give us. Period. Hands down. It is the best gift you can get to struggle. You don't have to struggle. Suffering is a choice. Okay. Suffering 100% is a choice. We can go through all these issues like I've been going through huge issues. This is truly almost one of the worst years of my life, but I'm in such a good mood most of the time that I can't call it the worst year of my life. But there was one year I lost everything I had, and I was doing really good in life. So I don't know if anything could compete with that year, but it's our choice. It's our choice. The creative energy is going to give us experience. It's our choice how we handle, how we're going to deal with that experience. What kind of emotions are we going to get pissed off? Or are we going to just say, okay, well, let's see where we're going from here. And that's what I'm doing. There's nothing you can do about it.
And one of the things I love is coming from the metaphysical, background, being raised in that, is like you're saying, if you're starting to feel angry in the middle of, say, a swimming pool, my reaction isn't to go, oh my God, I'm angry. It's my reaction is, what around me is making me angry? Is this even mine? This may not even be my anger. And so it's like, why am I picking up on this? Why am I? And so you ask, it's like you're saying, you ask yourself the questions that drives it too. And there's a peacefulness that comes with going, you know what? This isn't my anger. I don't need to take it on. There's no problem with me saying, hey, this isn't mine.
Yeah.
I send it back and let it go and just be you. And it's like, just because we feel something doesn't mean it's ours and doesn't mean we have to take it on.
Well, but
and you don't have to honor that feeling either.
Well, a lot of people aren't like Michael and I, though. They don't know that they have the ability to pick up other people's emotions. So they're just peed off all the time, but they're hanging around angry people listening to angry music. You're not going to be able to, you can't go jump in a bucket of water and not understand why you're wet. I mean, if you're absorbing all these people's energy and you're putting yourself in negative areas, you're going to be negative. You're going to have no choice. We're going to sponge it up. And they don't know that that's what they're doing. So they just think that they're being.
It's also telling them something right there. But most of the time, we're so into something, we can't see it ourselves. And so that's where, as a practitioner in Theta Healing, where we help assist people hopefully see certain things like that. But what you're talking about there, Michelle, being an empath like that, and I know a lot of amazing empaths that are so tapped in that way that they can't even be around a session room. I remember I was doing a crystal layout class, and we were doing it at my friend's house, and she's an amazing empath. Yeah. But she's too tapped in. She was never there the whole day, but she came at the very end. Her husband was there with the class with us, and she came at the very end while we were doing all the sessions, and then she had to leave because she could feel everything. Yeah. But the thing about that, Michelle, is what you're talking about there is if they could look at themselves honestly, the problem that they're having there is they're too worried about everybody else. They're not focused on themselves. And that's why they're stuck in everybody else's empath emotion, is because they're too worried about everybody else. And that's usually all of our problems. No, we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to look inside, and that's where it's like, I don't want to make fun of them, but I kind of do. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. I mean, in the spiritual world, you got a lot of people running around going, love, 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 oh, let me serve you. Let me serve you. And when they come to me and we do a session, a lot of times it comes up, it's like, well, you resent God. I don't resent God. I love God. I do God's work. Well, why do you think you do God's work? Yeah. Because you resent God and you're trying to prove your love to him. And so they go overboard with it. And so it's just really amazing. And so by our actions, if we're open and honest with ourselves, but it's usually, I mean, even me, I have a hard time seeing a lot of my junk until it happens enough. But it's hard for us to take a look inside. And so some of your biggest issues, you typically want to go get somebody to help facilitate you so you can bring that out and you can see that. And sometimes they just have to say, oh, it's, you're having a hard time here, and then you can take it even further from there. But it's really amazing. We're an open book. The way we express ourselves is an open book. I mean, I can read people so easy. I've done it my whole life, but now that I've had the training I have, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, it's just like people start talking and it's like, oh, I see your issues, because it comes out with how we talk and what we do.
My issues.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not saying that I got my own issues too, people. So it's not like I'm saying I don't have issues and everybody else does. No, I got my bullshit just as much as everybody else does. We all have tremendous issues, but don't get overwhelmed with those issues, because the thing you need to focus on is when you are having the same issue reoccurring over and over again. Those are the things you need to look at. Those are the things that are ready to be taken care of, ready to be healed and moved out of your energy field. And that's why they keep coming up over and over again. You know, a lot of times you'll hear people going, well, I got a new boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, and they're just like the last one.
Yeah.
Well, why are they just like the last one? It's because you're there to learn a lesson. And if you didn't learn your lesson in the first relationship, you're going to bring in the same energy basically into the second relationship, and you're going to have the same issues unless you start to learn. The great thing, though, is, folks, is if you're in between relationships, or even if you're in a new relationships, just take a look back on your past relationships and look at the issues that you've had, and look at the ones that have been the same issues in one relationship after another. Then you can say, oh, well, that seems to be an issue, and you can start to work on those issues. And so, you know, it truly is easy. It just seems difficult because the way we look at things and stuff, it just seems very complicated, but it's not. It's super simple. We just got to look at it. And when it,
complicated.
Our emotional issues can look very complicated, because it's like, oh, I could be in regret. I could be resentful. I could be insecure. I could be jealous, all these things. But all those things at the end, the only thing it means is you're not loving yourself. That's all it means.
Yeah,
you know, any issue you have in life, what it comes down to is you're not loving yourself. Plain and simple. I got a sign over here in my house that says fearless. I used to have it up in my wellness center. Why fearless? It's not because I'm a daredevil or anything like that.
Right.
But the lack of fear is love. When you're fearless, you're in love.
Right.
Because when you're out of love, then you're in fear. Does that make sense?
Yes, it actually does make sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, because growing, you know, with the metaphysics, I was always taught and gravitated towards the principle of the mirror, to where when somebody walks in front of you and if they trigger anger in you, it's like, okay, is that their anger or your anger? But then another person walks up to you and triggers anger over a similar situation. It's like, wait a minute, these people are marrying something I'm not liking, and what they're marrying is me. And it's like, what am I not liking about me in this situation, and why am I not handling this right? And so, yeah, it helps, because it like puts in front of you, like you're saying, what you need to look at and work on. So like, one example is, you know, if you're in a party and you walk up to 3 people and you have, you know, everyone's laughing, you have great conversations, then you're in a great place. You're exuding happiness. But if somebody comes up and says, man, I can't believe you did this, and you're like, I didn't do that. And then somebody else comes up that you have never met and go, man, I can't believe that somebody did this. And you're like, no, that I didn't do. It's like, wait, why are you getting defensive? Why are you getting angry about this? What about you in this moment, in this situation, is owning this? And what is your part? And it's like, you can go, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, this shouldn't be triggering me. This isn't who I am. Why am I owning this? And it's like you're saying, you know, it opens up your subconscious to saying, yeah, we got something to look at here.
Yeah. And just realize this too. And this is something I love about Trump being out there, but this is one of the first rules in Theta Healing. When we teach a class, one of the first rules we tell our class, if you get triggered, it's you, period. If anything triggers you, it's you. It's your belief system, anything. And that's what I just laugh all the time because everybody's like, well, Donald Trump speaks so badly, da, 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 da. And I think it's awesome because we were getting way too politically correct, and we still are way too politically correct. Because if I say something that offends you, I might be an asshole, probably are, but you still need to look at yourself, because if you got offended, it is something within you that got you offended. Because I'm going to tell you what, the more I learn to love myself, the less anybody could ever offend me. You know, you could walk up, call me an asshole, whatever, and I'll just be going, I don't think I'm an asshole. All right, whatever. See ya. You know, it's up to you to take it in. I mean, but if you feel triggered, you need to do some work on yourself, because it's something within you. There's a program within you that took offense to that. Like, I'll say one thing that always got me triggered is if somebody called me dumb. You know, because a lot of times I felt dumb because I didn't really, we moved when I was really early, like when I was in the first grade, we moved across town and stuff. And so the teacher put me in the lowest reading group when I was in the highest reading group. And so I just was like, I got bored. And so I didn't do anything. And so that was one of my things in the back of my head. I felt stupid. You know, I got called stupid almost my whole childhood and stuff. So there's points, and even today, I mean, I don't have all the programs worked out of me. So there's times I've been in situations where I did feel dumb. And so then but I could identify it at that point and work it out. Go, well, I'm not dumb, dummy. But back in the day, you could call me stupid, dumb, and it would trigger me right away, because I felt self-conscious about that. And so it would trigger me right away. And that's a good example of that. So you got to realize, if you're getting triggered out there by something, it's you. It's a program within you.
So how did
you need to identify and change? I'm sorry?
How did you fix that? Like me, underachiever is my trigger. If they say it, it's done. Like, this game is over. So how did you break that? Like, yours was dumb, mine's underachiever. So
I did it through ThetaHealing, and truthfully, with the programs I'm talking about, are the programs in the subconscious. And those programs in your subconscious, you can change in a few ways. Like, if you use Buddha mindfulness, I don't know, are you familiar with Buddha mindfulness? Yeah. That's doing the same action, basically 21 days in a row to reprogram the subconscious. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that's what it was called. I knew it takes so many days to
that's wonderful. That's wonderful to be able to do Buddha mindfulness and be able to create a new program. And that's all you're doing. You're creating a new program, but you still got the old one there. And it's sitting there dormant. Okay. So as long as you can stay focused on your new program, your new positive one, life is great. But as soon as somebody triggers you, the mind is so amazing and so quick, it's going to jump back onto that old program without you realizing it. And all of a sudden, you're going to be operating from those back programs. And I know this firsthand, because when I was going through all my spiritual teachings, I was teaching ThetaHealing at this time. I mean, I was in cloud nine. I was in the top of my game at that time, and I was dating somebody, and it was a long distance relationship, and she was the love of my life. I mean, she's the one that got away from me. And there was a point, though, because it was a long distance relationship, she started to pull away. And I remember my thought in my head. It was like, well, if she's going to do this, I'm going to end it my way. And not in some bad way or anything like that, but I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get selfish. And basically, I started to ruin the relationship. I started to self-sabotage. But it was only because of my programs that I was afraid of, and I was scared. And because of all the things that happened in my childhood, because my childhood wasn't that pretty and stuff in a lot of ways. And so it took me back to childhood. So I started acting from childhood programs without even realizing it. It wasn't until after the whole relationship was done. And thank God, again, I have a lot of training. So I do try to pay attention to myself and what's going on. And so I was able to sit back and start to see it. And then I started to realize, I'm like, oh my God, there's a program hiding there. And I went right back into that program, and I started acting like a child, a little bit more mature child, but I still was acting like a child. So basically, when you do Buddha mindfulness, you can create the new program. And hey, if you don't have any other way to go about it, do this, because if you can operate in that positive program long enough,
Right.
Those negative eventually start to fall off, but that's longer. That takes way longer than 21 days.
Right.
I'm talking 2-3 years down the road. You're so stuck into those new behaviors and new beliefs that the old ones get foreign. And that was me. And I'll give you an example of this. Throughout most of my childhood life into my adult life, I was a very angry person because that's what I grew up around. Now, let me take that back. I was a very loving person.
Right.
But I had very angry, upsetting, quick to get upset programs installed into me from childhood. And so I would get upset really quick, and I'd have huge conflicts because I am a very loving person, but the programs I was taught were very negative and stuff. So I was always in that negative energy. I mean, I could trip over an extension cord and be pissed off for a whole week because of it, you know? And so I lived in negative energy, and I've seen this in a lot of my clients too. That was my comfort zone. And so to be happy was very uncomfortable to me.
Yes.
But when I finally started to make this change and started on my reawakening back, I think when I was, well, I had to be 38 because that's 2008. Well, that's when everything collapsed. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry, 36. It was 2006 when I started to have my reawakening. And so before that time, I was always really angry, and that was my normal energy. I didn't know any different.
Right.
I couldn't tell any different. I just went from one extreme to the next, and it never registered in my head, never at all. And it wasn't until I started doing the spiritual classes and ThetaHealing and some other training that I started to become aware of it. As a matter of fact, one guy once in one of the training courses that I was in, the facilitator was like, you know, you can be happy or you can be mad. And never in my life, I'm 35 at that time, and I never in my life have I ever heard that or even thought of it or even realized that. And I was like, excuse my French, but I was like, what the fuck did that guy just say?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's my choice? I'm like, really? But that was the trigger that allowed me to start to change, because before that, I had no clue. I had no clue at all, but that opened the door. It didn't change things right away, but that at least allowed my brain to start to reset and go, wait a minute, there's other options out there. And so then I had to start choosing from those other options and choosing from the right options to actually change this. And so then eventually, like now, I'm always happy.
Right.
When I start to get upset, then I notice that right off the bat. I'm like, what am I doing in this energy? I don't like this. Let's change it. And so then I start to sit down, meditate, take deep breaths, whatever tools I have to use at that time to be able to get myself back to what I choose to be in. And I choose to be a happy, loving, inspirational person. That was my quota back in the day. If you asked me who I was, I didn't say Jeff Renel. I said, I am a loving, happy, inspirational, powerful man. And when I say powerful, it wasn't powerful like I'm going to overpower for you. I'm powerful in my core. I'm powerful in my heart. I'm powerful in my conviction. I'm powerful in who I want to be. Yeah. And so, and I really challenge people. These are the identifications you want to find for yourself. You want to identify yourself in these ways. Before, I was a weak, pissed off, angry person that couldn't do anything for myself. I mean, I did do a lot of stuff for myself, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say there. Now it's a whole different story. Right. I thrive now. And I mean, I still have bad days. Today was, started out as a great day. And then at lunchtime, everything went south in a bad way. But we're here again. I'm laughing, having a great time. I changed that energy. I actually changed the energy right away in this afternoon when some accident happened. But as soon as I was able to walk away from that energy, I was able to get right back to who I am. Before, like I said, I could be pissed off for a week, no problem. Now, as soon as I can remove myself from the energy, I can be back to being happy within minutes. And so, but it's all on the choices that I make, and that's it. The one thing I realized through my spiritual journey, it's always our choice. Always. Always. That's one thing Gandhi was showing us. It's always your choice. You can sit there or, you can have somebody, force you, make you their slave and make you do this, make you do that. And if you do it, That was your choice.
Right.
But Gandhi showed us we can just sit on the street and not do nothing, and you can't make me do anything. You can sit there and beat me. You can do whatever you want. But until I was done being beat, if I got so sick of being beaten, I got up and I did what he wanted me to do, or whoever wanted me to do. That was my choice. I was sick of being beaten. So it was my choice, and I went and did that. Yeah. But it's always your choice. Who are you? What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Yeah. It's always your choice. There's always a choice there. And that's what we have to do a lot of times, is we have to sit back and look at what are our choices and where can I go from here? Again, this year's been horrible for me, but that's what I've had to do. I've had to sit back and go, what are my choices? Right now I got to sit there and do the same thing. What are my choices? What am I going to do? How am I going to proceed forward in my life? And then again, the other things you want to are, what are my goals in life? What do I want to achieve in life? Because you need to know that, because when I sit there to make my choices, does these choices support who I am and where I want to go in life? And if they don't support who I am and where I want to go, then that's probably not the right choice for me. And that's probably not the direction I want to go.
But you also have to remember the effect of you doing that also. So you have to be able to own whatever comes from you. I can say, I'm not going to get a regular job. I'm going to just start businesses, do it till I get tired of it, sell it, liquidate it, do whatever I got to do. But I'm going to have to own the fact that I'm going to be hustling and have to have that hustle mentality and pay Uncle Sam more money and, pay 5 times more taxes on crap I've already paid taxes on and do all of this kind of stuff. I'm going to have to own that. But for me to be able to have the right and the option to say, I'm not doing it. I can barely sit still for an hour. I'm not going to go sit. I can't do a desk job, but I'm going to have to own what's going to happen for that. I see a lot of people saying, I'm not doing it, but they're not owning the rest of it. So it's a package. It's not just like I'm going to not do it. Well, if you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. If you can not do it and own that and keep on going, cool, go with it.
Yeah, you have to take action. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the creative energy of all that is you, and it loves you unconditionally. So it's going to support you in any way, shape, or form. But you have to take action. You have to do it. When you're manifesting something, you can manifest it. You can put that out into the energy and stuff like that. Put it out there. But if you don't take action along with it, it's a dead manifestation.
Right.
So many people are sit there and go, Jeff, when am I going to find my soulmate? And you read their energy, and you read their energy. They're in right now. And you can say, okay, well, you're going to meet a soulmate at this time because you're reading the energy they're in at that.
You can have more than one.
Right.
And they don't.
Well, yeah, you can have more than
sexual.
You can have more than one as well too. But what I'm saying here is when I read somebody and I'm reading what they want me to find out or whatever,
right.
If they want to find out about their soulmate, I'm reading their energy as of now. Who are they at this moment? Okay. But if you tell somebody, hey, you're going to find your soulmate at this and this particular time, they might go home and sit on the couch and wait for that particular time. Well, now you just changed your energy. You changed everything about you. Now that soulmate coming into your life probably isn't going to happen. And that's the thing. When I do readings with people, I tell people how you project your energy from this moment on is crucial, because once you find something out, you can go, well, I can take the rest of the day off because, hey, I know this is going to happen. Well, once you change your energy, you change your future.
That's important. Right. I never tell anybody that. And I've been doing readings off and on for about a year and a half-ish. And I never think about the fact of, I just told them, that this person is not but then there's going to be the next one. And I tell them these things. And then what are they going to do that's just altered that? Like they just totally messed, kind of butterfly effect kind of thing. They just messed with that. So it's almost like I feel guilty to tell them too much because I don't want them to jack up the good stuff. So I never think about telling them that. Like, do you really want to know? Because it could change the chain of events into which it doesn't happen. Because if you don't make that wrong turn or go down that wrong aisle, then you won't see that cute person at the end that you're going to act like you need some really stinky body wash just to get close to so you can maybe talk to them. Not from personal experience or anything, but, you can't do that. So that's great. to know that you need to be telling these people, listen, there is a chance that if I tell you this knowledge, then you're going to break the natural chain of events that has led to this. So that's really good to know. Because I know about responsibleness. You know, I'm always talking about you have to be responsible with your gift. You can't just, because you hear it, you can't just say it. I've made that mistake. I've done that pain to somebody and I can't do that. You have to be, but I never think about saying, I'm giving you the option. I have this possible knowledge. Do you want the possible knowledge? And do you accept the chance that I may not be wrong, because by telling you, we've altered it. So
yeah,
that's fascinating.
And you hold a huge responsibility when you're doing this kind of work. Okay. Because the way people look at you, the way people want your knowledge, want to know, because they can't tap it. They haven't cleared themselves enough. They don't trust themselves and love themselves enough to be able to tap in themselves. Right. So they're looking at you to tell them the information. They want you to tell them everything. Right. And that's really not your job either. Right. But if you come to me for a reading and stuff, I need to, for me, I respect and love this field so much that I'm going to tell you the truth, even if it doesn't make me look good. Okay. Right. And I'll tell you a quick story. So when I was helping run Luminosity Wellness Center in Las Vegas, we used to do, I can't think of the name of it, but we did a Halloween special where we had all of our practitioners there. We would have like a haunted house, and then we would have all of the people come through, and you could go to each practitioner and we would all be doing something different, you know, whatever our own specialty is. And since I do theta healing and I've been able to clear a lot of my resentments, rejections, and all that stuff, I've opened myself up to all of my, well, what people will call psychic senses, but they're just your other senses that we've kind of tapped away from. We're choosing not to read it. This information is coming in 24/7 to everybody. It's just whether you can identify with this information is on you. You need to be able to read the energy that the creative energy of all that is giving you. So one of these Halloween events, God, I wish I could remember the name of it, but we were doing one of these events and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to do readings for people. I think I'm going to do future readings. This will be a lot of fun. And so that's what I was doing. And this lady came in and I was having a great time up till that moment. And this lady come in and she was like, you know, my sister's in the hospital. She's not doing good. I believe she had cancer. And she was, you know, she was giving me the whole spill about what was going on and stuff. And she was like, is my sister going to make it? And so I started reading the energy. And so when I was reading the energy, I saw she would make it through this.
Oh, great.
But I also saw that 6 months down the road, she would have a relapse and she wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
So we're there for a fun night. Okay. I could just tell her what she wants to hear and send her out the door, and my night could go on the way it needs to be. But I'm me, so it wouldn't go on the way it needs to be because I love everybody way too much, and I honor people too much, and I honor myself. And so I'm not going to sit there and lie to anybody. I won't lie to myself. I won't lie to you guys. And so I basically what I told her is I was like, you know what? Your sister's going to make it. But I would suggest this. Make sure you spend as much time as you possibly can with her for the next 6 months. And that's how I left it. I didn't want to ruin the whole night, right? But I wanted to make sure she knew, you know, because that would be even worse to say, oh, she's going to make it, she'll be fine, and then not tell her the other part that I saw. You know, I didn't tell her that she was going to pass away, but I just made sure that I stressed, please make sure that you spend as much time as you can with her for the next 6 months. And I felt, you know, at the time I was under pressure because I never had this. I was expecting a fun, relaxed evening, and I wasn't expecting anything like this.
Fun a lot of times.
Yeah, so I was under pressure. I felt this was the best way to, to actually let her know the information and to feel good about myself, and that we could all move forward in that night and have fun. And so it was a huge lesson for me, and a great lesson. And I'm honored that she gave me that lesson, because that's what our clients do. I mean, I've learned more about myself through my clients than I have, just me doing my own work. But theta healing is pretty amazing. And so when you get into it and start doing belief work and stuff, the things you discover, especially if you're honest with yourself, it's amazing. I mean, we are amazing beings, and just believe in yourself, love yourself, and everything's going to be all right, man. Everything's always all right. It's awesome.
That's the perfect way to end it, because we are actually 37 minutes over the show time.
Holy cow, Michael. You're not supposed to go over on ETalk. You know that, right? No.
Oh my gosh. The boss is going to find out.
We can go for 2 hours. It don't matter.
Well, we can, but I won't probably be able to stay awake for the whole 2 hours, because long day for me.
I'm just joking. I'm just having too much fun.
It's always fun, and we'd be happy to have you back on, and we can continue this on another episode.
Hey, I would always love to be on. I mean, truthfully, we never even got to talking about,
I know. We just got started.
Yeah, we're just getting started, and that's it. That's why I run a 2-hour show, because it's like even 2 hours isn't enough to do a show. Once you get into the good stuff, then all of a sudden the show's over with. But no, I would love to come back on, because we could talk about some. I'm privileged to do some amazing research trips. I mean, as you know, Michael, one of my good friends, Ryan Burns, owns Space Wolf Research, which is adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch. So I get to spend a lot of time there. Matter of fact, I was supposed to be up there this last weekend with a friend, but we had some miscommunication. And so I get to spend a lot of times there. I know a lot of crazy stuff about that place. And, I've done a lot of fun journeys, paranormal journeys. I was at the Mezpa Hotel in Tonopah, Nevada, which is supposedly, they claim it's the most haunted hotel in America. I don't know if it is, but that's what they claim. But it was pretty crazy. I heard a lady, maybe the lady in red, screaming one afternoon when I woke up for a nap so I could do research that night. But fun place. I mean, if you guys ever want to come out to the West Coast, we can go hit it. They invited me back, and they said we could go back there, and they would open up the doors at midnight so we could go in there and go into the basement. I walked across the street and met the bartender across the street. It's an ancient bar. And so he was like, hey, you think, because I was asking him, hey, what do you think about the Mezpa? And he's like, hey, why don't you come back tomorrow and come into my basement, and I'll show you some orbs and haunted stuff there. I'm like, I'm there. So yeah, we got a lot we can talk about. And I definitely want to bring you guys onto my show as well, too. I want to find out about what you guys are doing. So yeah, let's please do some more.
Yeah, definitely. And so definitely stay tuned for part 2 for the research side of Jeff. We'll call it.
Yay, Jeff. Well,
all right, awesome. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for having me on, man. What a great time tonight was.
Yes, it was. And let's see. So next week we have Jody Hully Breckenridge. I hope I said her name correctly. She's with the History, Haunts, and Legends in Jefferson, Texas. So stay tuned for that episode. And thank you to everybody in the chat group. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. And thank you to Michelle for guest hosting with me. And Jeff, as always, thank you for allowing us on the network. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hey, thank you. It was my pleasure, and it's my pleasure to have you guys on. I'm really excited for your show. And yeah, thank you to all the energy that surrounds us, listeners out there that I haven't met yet or got a chance to chat with in the chat rooms and stuff. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. I'm really honored, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thank you.
And thank you to Beyond the Strange for popping in and welcoming me to ETalk. And I subscribed, so just letting you know. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
You have just listened to the energy that surrounds us with your host, Michael Koff. Be sure to tune in next week.